What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we're going to be giving our feedback on another The Draft Network mock draft. And of course, continuing with the theme of what happened in the last mock, we will be continuing this mock draft with a second round. So if you guys like that, stay tuned because it's going to be a fun ride. Again, this is going to be the new norm because I want this to be my series. It's now going to be called Mock the Mock. Then what? So we'll have that second round mock draft in there. Hope you guys do enjoy. If you guys are new, like, comment, and subscribe. We were only supposed to be at 4K by draft day, but as you guys can see, we have blown that out of the water. So thank you guys so much for making that possible because it is you who have believed in me. So thank you again. I appreciate it. As always, let's get right into the video. With the number 1 overall pick, we got Aiden Hutchinson here. I get the thumbs up to that one. I still think that we are actually starting to undersell his potential. You know, is he Chase Young? Probably not, like coming out of college. But I sure as hell think he could be a much better version of Trey Hendrickson, he was one of the biggest impact players on the defense of an almost championship team. So, you know, Aiden Hutchinson could definitely be a cornerstone of the Jaguars defense. It's just somebody that you're actually going to hit on as Trevor develops. Now you're going to have 2 extremely talented, very young players to be able to anchor both the offense and the defensive side of the ball. Number 2, the Lions go Malik Willis. I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. But, I mean, if you are going to swing on a quarterback and you really do think that Malik is that dude, sure. You know, I do think the Lions have much bigger issues, and I don't think that it's the most beneficial thing for Malik Willis to be put into the Detroit Lions. That being said, at least it's not the AFC. So, I mean, it's a love-hate relationship I have with this pick because I don't think Malik is actually worth a number 2 overall pick. And I don't think many people do, but the gap between him and even Sam Howell right now, even though Sam Howell is graded out as better, it's a noticeable margin. So the question is, how comfortable are the Lions with Jared Goff? And to me, Jared Goff has gone to a freaking Super Bowl, almost beat Tom Brady in it. Granted, the offense sucked, but you still have somebody who is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback on the team if you put the right pieces around him. And given the state of the Lions at number 2, it's obvious that everything else is not built around him. So I'd be definitely going after pieces, but you can't complain about the potential of Malik Willis if you really are just saying, hey, we have no faith in Goff and we want to see if we can have a future with Malik. It is still a number 2 overall pick, though. Texans going KT. When offensive line's on the board, I would say no. And I love KT to death. This is just one of the few places I just don't really want him to go. Again, the Texans organization has had a pretty bad mark for quite a while now. And if KT has these personality concerns, then this is probably the last place that you want him to go because it's probably the place where those concerns might become most prevalent. So for me, I'm not for the KT pick for the Texans. Again, you will have that pick at pick 13 where there will be a guy maybe like Jermaine Johnson, Travon Walker. We'll see in this class that doesn't exactly happen, but we'll explain it when that time comes. Number 4, we got the Jets getting Evan Neal. That is an A+ move. Should have been pick 3, but you know, it is the way it is. Giants getting Ikem Ekwonu or Ikem, whichever way you want to pronounce it. I love it. You know, again, you're taking a shot on a dude who could be a real all-star at the next level. Panthers getting Kenny Pickett. At this point, we're just trying to justify Matt Rule. So I'm sorry. That's all I got to say. I'm sorry. I don't like Kenny Pickett. And honestly, I like him better than most people. And that's kind of weird now. Like I'm in like the middle now because I have him in my 40s. And I know that there's some people out there, even my homie Broshmo, who talks about Kenny Pickett like he's dog water. And I don't really think that Kenny is dog water. I don't. Like, he has some pretty high level plays. Just the future potential of Kenny Pickett is not really worth a 6th overall pick. And I don't know if it's worth a top 25 pick. So that's where I'm at with that one. 7, the Giants go Travon Walker here. A+ move for Wink Martindale, who was able to develop Odafe Owe last year into an all-star. Then this is what I'm talking about. Jermaine Johnson goes at 8. But I do say that if KT were on the board, we might not even see Evan Neal have gone, or we could have seen the Giants go after KT and then ended up with the Falcons going Travon Walker or a different position, allowing Jermaine Johnson to fall. Regardless, I still think that Jermaine Johnson to the Falcons is a great pick so long as you trade back. You know, you still have the top corners on the board. I'm pretty sure that you're not going to be seeing Jermaine Johnson go. Maybe the Jets could be a target for Jermaine Johnson, but at that point, if you can trade back to here and still get somebody of the Jordan Davis talent level, I think that is an A-OK move, especially if you get to garner a new second round pick or something like that. And then they can move up for Sauce Gardner. Still think Jermaine Johnson's an excellent day one fit for the team. I love him to death. As you guys know, been on him for a hot minute now. And it was back in like freaking October when I started loving Jermaine Johnson. Like he was my dude for a while. And now people just think he's a top 4 player. Like there are certain guys who just absolutely love him more than I do now, which is a little bit weird, but that is A-OK. Seahawks going Sauce Gardner, A+ move. Love it. You're getting your new Richard Sherman. Chris Olave to the Jets. Him coming off as wide receiver 1, just there's no actual way apart from spewing out a bunch of BS that you're going to be able to justify it. Garrett Wilson's better than Chris Olave, and I believe every single way. So I just don't understand. I really don't. I think that's a horrible pick, just straight up. And that's not me being a hater on Chris Olave. It's like you have to understand who's actually on the board, and I don't care what your rankings are. There's no way in hell you can have Chris Olave above Garrett Wilson. That's my God honest opinion. There's nothing better about Chris Olave than Garrett Wilson, maybe except experience. Like they're like almost the same weight, almost the same height. Garrett Wilson has played in the slot and on the boundary at an elite level. Both of them can potentially go up and get it. Garrett Wilson's a lot better at that. Garrett Wilson's better after the catch. I think Garrett Wilson's honestly a better route runner. Might not be as smooth. Okay, well, let's just have him be a little more smooth, and that will justify us picking him at 10. Makes no sense to me. Like this is why you guys, this is why people are either going to sub to me or absolutely dislike the video, is that I'm willing to give brutally honest opinions. That's just me. I really don't care about people's opinions. Like, I'll be respectful here and say that I understand the reason for a wide receiver, but the logic's absolute crap. So that's the way it is. Garrett Wilson going to Washington. It is BPA. At this point, I would just do it to defend against the Eagles getting Garrett Wilson because, I mean, I love him to death. Number 10 player on my board. Vikings going Jordan Davis. Yeah, I've done that pick many times. I think Derek Stingley is still on the board, if I'm not mistaken. So would certainly be a little bit more intrigued with going that route. But you can't ever complain about getting a freak, unique talent like Jordan Davis on your team. Then the Texans, Charles Cross is still on the board. Don't know why the hell they would ever go Trevor Penning. Just really doesn't make sense. It's not a plug and play starter at all. I highly disagree with that. The dude he had one of the worst Senior Bowl performances that I've seen, not named Max Mitchell. Like people will always point out those highlight tapes, but I actually got to watch every rep since I got Media Bowl access. And it was not good. He lost almost every single rep. He had a couple of dominant reps. Sure, he was holding the whole time. He threw dudes into the back of Desmond Ritter's legs. There's zero reason why people should be thinking Trevor Penning's a legit plug and play player. The dude stands straight up. There's guys who goes right into his gut. That's why he can throw him down, is because he's standing upright. You think that Khalil Mack can just is not going to just get underneath your pads and just totally flip you? I just got like a flashback to one of his first games on the Bears versus the Vikings when he just straight up uprooted a 330-pound dude. Loved him. Loved Khalil Mack. Happy that he's potentially chasing a ring right now with the Chargers. But Trevor Penning's going to be a horrible pick, especially when you look at what you can have with Charles Cross. Just absolutely terrible. Ravens getting Derek Stingley for, oh God, I would cry. Of course, if you guys don't know, I'm a Steelers fan, but that'd be absolutely terrible because also, I mean, he's probably going to get injured every year because that's the Ravens DB luck in recent memory. But, when you're taking a swing like that, that's just A+ move. Same thing with the Eagles going Kyle Hamilton. I think that's the best thing that you could ever ask for. I just did a live mock with Broshmo. You guys can go check it out on his channel, and we'll be doing it every single Monday. So it's going to be a mock draft Monday. And we traded up. Well, I traded up for Kyle Hamilton. So I think that's an A+ move. Saints going Charles Cross. If by some way the Lord has blessed them that way, you get probably 5 pluses from me. That is probably one of the best picks that you could ever imagine. Chargers getting Drake London. I love Drake London with a passion, but at this point, he doesn't offer anything new to the team, and Jameson Williams is on the board. Have absolutely no idea why you would go after Drake London. Again, you could say BPA, but BPA also needs to fit and provide that BPA upside. Just because a prospect is the best, he's better than Jameson Williams, doesn't mean for your team he's better than Jameson Williams. And yeah, given your personnel, Drake London's not the guy who I would ever target for the team. I would honestly try to trade back. You got the Packers sitting there, just be like, hey, screw it. And I don't think there's any trades in this, so we're not going to do that with the mock. But we'll continue on. Eagles going to Devontae Wyatt. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it. I really am not. It's just not fun for me to think about getting somebody who isn't worth it. He's never going to be a cornerstone of a defense. So I don't know why you would spend one of your first round picks on that when even next year there's going to be like Brian Breesy, I think his name is, or something like that. That guy could be a cornerstone. Jordan Davis, cornerstone. Travis Jones, cornerstone potential. Even though he graded lower than Devontae Wyatt, he's lower on my board, still that potential. The Eagles need someone who could be that cornerstone like Fletcher Cox was, not a role player like Devontae Wyatt. So God bless Costco for not robbing my grave for water. But I just think that I'm totally against the Devontae Wyatt train. Saints going Jameson Williams. I think this guy's a Saints fan, just straight up. He should have honestly gone here as well. Steelers going Zion Johnson. Somebody doesn't pay attention to the rosters of the NFL. And it's been pretty obvious because Keith, even since his first mock draft where he had Wan'Dale Robinson going, ooh, we got some freeze frame. Love that. Where he had Wan'Dale Robinson go in the first round to the Chargers, he just doesn't really pay attention to what is logical. And Zion Johnson going to a team that invested a lot of money into their offensive line certainly seems to be a lack of honest, good football judgment. Like, again, no disrespect to the man himself, but on a professional level, this just shows that you don't really, there's just no reason for it. You have Kendrick Green, who's still developing. If you say that you're going to give up on offensive lineman after 1 year, I'm sorry. You can't do that. You can't, because then you might as well say that Rashawn Gary was a fucking piece of crap, right? Like, he was just complete trash. No, he came back last year, over 50 pressures. Like, guys take time to develop sometimes. And if you're going to be doing that, you have James Daniels, you got Dotson, and you got Green. Why the hell do you need Johnson? It makes no sense to me. If you got a tackle here, that makes more sense. Dan Moore, he's like a late fifth round. He was like a 5th round pick, for Christ's sakes. That's fine. Chukuma Okorafor, I don't care if you got a $30 million deal, you can still replace him. There's absolutely no reason when you still have some high-end corners on the board, when you still have even some wide receivers on the board, for Christ's sakes. I know the Steelers wouldn't take one, but there are many other positions that you could be taking that is not interior offensive line, and you decide to do that. And it's probably the one position I would say might be the lowest version or the lowest ranked need on the Steelers. So yeah, as a Steelers fan, I take offense to that, even though I love Zion Johnson as a potential fit for the Steelers before they got James Daniels. It's obvious that it's sad to see when guys, I'm not even going to mention myself, but like Broshmo, for example, like we end up writing for some sites that give us a chance and we got to show them respect. But then guys like this, who don't even do the research into their picks, ends up going on the biggest drafting site, not named Pro Football Focus. Doesn't make sense. Like, just doesn't make sense. And I want to shout out all those content creators out there that work their freaking tail off to actually do some good content. And then they have people like this who end up getting paid in order to make crap. Just straight up. So that's me. Am I a little bit cranky today? No, I'm actually not. But this mock draft has started to make me a little bit mad, especially when I saw Zion Johnson go to the Steelers, because that takes away one of my impact picks I can make for them. Patriots going Andrew Booth is literally not a scheme fit, but you know what? It's a corner nonetheless. Packers going Jahan Dotson doesn't fit what they're looking for. But again, I love Jahan. I would never complain about that. Linderbaum to the Cardinals. He weighed over 300 pounds at his pro day. And granted, I'm sure that guy just drank 2 gallons of water before. Regardless, I think that if you want to stick him at guard, he's finally cleared that threshold, and I think it's okay. So if you want to do that, do it. I swear to God, I don't see him mentioning at all that Rodney Hudson's here. So once again, I have a weird feeling that he saw interior offensive line as a need and chose the guy who's highest ranked. Really weird, really weird. It just doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't mention that, or why Keith wouldn't mention that in his description of the pick. But it's whatever, dude. At least you're helping out Kyler Murray, and Tyler Linderbaum's my number 6 player. Kenyon Green to the Cowboys makes sense. It's just been something you could pencil in for a hot minute now. Bills going Trent McDuffie. That's an A+ move, scheme fit. Dig it. Titans going Treylon Burks. Might as well. Julio Jones ain't there anymore. You might as well pair him up with Robert Woods as well as AJ Brown. That'd be a pretty nasty trio. Buccaneers going Kyer Elam. I love that pick as well. David Ojabo to the Packers. I'm a big fan of that as well. He also doesn't need to be that impact player day one, can be that third in that edge rotation, and that would be pretty damn nice. Boye Mafe to the Chiefs. I'm going to be kind of harsh here. I'm saying that Boye Mafe is a pretty meh pick, and that's because George Karlaftis on the board. Karlaftis fits what the Chiefs are looking for too. And if you're saying that Boye Mafe is a hyper athlete and Karlaftis is not, sorry. He the guy did like a 38-inch vertical, and I think he had like a 12-foot broad jump. Like the guy was just ridiculous. He's a freak athlete, and he just didn't run the 40-yard dash. Probably would run a 4.8. Okay, cool. Just because you don't have someone who's running the 4.5s does not mean they're a hyper athlete. I just don't really understand the hate on Karlaftis anymore because he actually tested out as an elite athlete, and he has elite production. Chiefs going Christian Watson here. It's whatever at this point. I would much rather go after a different target, but the Chiefs have been trying to get taller with their receivers. So I don't think round one is a position the Chiefs need to go wide receiver. Just honestly, they have enough. But I would say that you look at guys like Calvin Austin in the second round, if not the third. Those are dudes who I think could be legit impact players because it's a small receiver, lightning quick, and really good with the ball in his hands. And he's also a boundary threat. So he only played on the boundary for the most part. So that is a big addition to the Chiefs where you don't have to spend a high level pick like this on a receiver, even though Christian Watson would be a pretty nice addition regardless. I just think they literally have him and MVS on the roster. Bengals getting Dax Hill is a little bit creepy. I don't get that. Creepy is probably the wrong word for it. But, I would still look at someone like Tyler Smith here. Linebacker. You still got Devin Lloyd on the board, and Broshmo pointed this out yesterday. We were talking about it, and I think Jermaine Pratt's up for a contract. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to go Devin Lloyd and actually bring in a true Mike on this roster. It could be that good commander of the defense. I have no idea why Dax Hill would be the selection. You still do, if I'm not mistaken, there are still some corners you could project here. Nothing that I would go after, but even Tyler Smith. There are dudes who are a lot better than just getting a second safety. Again, I don't know if he didn't do trades in this, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But man, I'm not a fan of that pick. Then the Lions getting Devin Lloyd is amazing. So guys, let's get right into the mock draft because yes, it's the best part of this. It's my favorite part. So let's continue this and let's correct the wrongs. Number 33 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, I wish I could say I want to go after Nakobe Dean because, Nakobe Dean's a stud. All I'll say is Foyesade Aluakin is already there. Don't think that's exactly a position that I would target. And George Karlaftis is here. So my two favorite players on the board, probably not going to be picked. So we'll go actually to my official big board so we can actually see who's on the board, who I love. I want to show you guys my big board. It's not fully up to date because there are some dudes that need to move up, but honestly, this is a pretty good estimation of what it's going to be. Center is just such a big issue, and the sad part is Tyler Linderbaum's gone. Like, this is a much more difficult pick than I think a lot of people give it credit for. Unfortunately, I would love to go wide receiver here. That's the thing. I would be like, hey, let's go George Pickens. Heck yeah. They have one top 30 wide receiver visit, and that was John Mechie. That shows that they're probably not vibing with that idea. So for me, I'm not going to be going into the trade realm for this, but I do know you just lost Miles Jack, and Leo Chanel is here. I'm going to get a true Mike for this roster, one hell of a leader, kind of bringing back that Joe Schobert vibe as well. I love Leo Chanel. The guy should definitely be considered around this point. 6'2", 252 pounds, runs a 4.53, has almost 40 bench reps, and then he is just absolutely explosive. The testing is off the charts. I hope it can apply a little bit more on the field, but hell, this guy could legit be a top end linebacker, and you're getting him at the top of the second. A+ from me. So 34, we've already got Malik Willis as well as Devin Lloyd. I think that going after George Karlaftis would, oh my God, George Karlaftis is on the board. I know safety is such a big concern, guys. I would love to go Lewis Cine here, and you can't go wrong. Wide receiver as well. You have some good dudes on the board, but I'm not going past George Karlaftis because if we're talking about how Aiden Hutchinson would be such a great fit for this team, you're getting a slightly downgraded Aiden Hutchinson literally a full round later. This is ridiculous. So You guys get some absolute all-stars in this draft. You got all these guys who can compete day one. I love it. I honestly do love it. This is probably, I mean, to be fair, I'm not the reason that this is the draft board felt like this. So I guess thank you to Keith after I tore him a new one for making the Lions draft freaking amazing. So the Jets here, we've already got an offensive tackle and we've also gotten a wide receiver. Which tackle? Okay, we got Evan Neal the first, and then we also got Chris Olave. Linebacker is still a concern here. Nakobe Dean would be a very fun option. Edge rusher as well. I'm not going to let you guys sit there and be like, oh, we need to draft edge and not be heard. You guys are heard. But Nakobe Dean's on the board. I do think a linebacker is a position that you could target. And I just think it's incredible value. There's only one team that has him in a top 30 visit, and that's the Lions. I don't know what to say to that straight up. I wish I could give you like a straightforward answer and say, oh yeah, well, just because teams already know him. Like, I don't know what to say, guys. He could be falling to the third round. I'll lose my shit if that happened. But I just don't get it. I don't. Just because he's undersized, wouldn't test. A little bit weird. Number 36 with the Giants. This is actually a very underrated position of need at safety. So you lost, you have Xavier McKinney, and then what? You lost Logan Ryan. You lost Jabril Peppers. And then, yeah, I'm forgetting Julian Love's the other name I was trying to pull up is the guy who you had. So you have McKinney and Love, but Love's there for one more year. I think Lewis Cine is a perfect guy to bring onto the squad. He's just an absolute baller. He can just lay the wood. And honestly, if the Ravens never brought in Marcus Williams, I would be considering Lewis Cine as an absolute wrecker for them in that secondary. I think Lewis Cine could be drafted way higher than this because, again, 4.37, or I think it might be even 4.34 speed. And he's a big hitter, too, at 6'2", has some good ball skills. Like, legitimately, I might be moving him up my board a bit. Like, I do love Lewis Cine a lot. Number 37, though, this spot, this would have been another fun spot to put Lewis Cine. I'm actually thinking of going after Jalen Pitchery here. I do think that wouldn't be a terrible option. You know, I do think it's quite a good fit, and I would be totally down for it. Tyler Smith's a fun option here. I'm not going to do that one, though. I'm just looking at all the options for us on the table. I love Travis Jones, too. But we're actually going to go Jalen Pitchery. You know, I think that losing Justin Reed is a pretty big loss, and Pitchery can also play some corner for you guys. Granted, it's in the slot, but I do think that adding a versatile safety like Jalen Pitchery would be an A+ move. Jets fans, Jaquan Brisker is also on the board. We could see him like pop off right now, but I want to just check the corners. I'm not going to be drafting it. I know Saleh doesn't prioritize that. Edge rusher is something that we should bring in, though. You know, I think it's not Shaq Lawson. I think it's Carl Lawson, who is now on our edge room. He finally is coming back from injury. I want to make sure I know that right. I really do want to pick one of these guys, but man, if I wait till the next round and get Josh Pascal or Drake Jackson, I'd be so happy with it because fully Fatu Kasi is gone. And I think Travis Jones is just an absolute mauler. He just eats dudes up. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I know edge rusher is such a big position of need, but the value drop, like think about it. The next round, you might be able to get Fedarian Mathis if you're lucky. Travis Jones, again, I think that he could become the identity of a defense, and you have him along with Quinnen Williams and Nakobe Dean now. Like, this is starting to shape up to be a pretty nasty, formidable front for the Jets. So I like that. Number 39, you got the Bears on the board. And we still got some really good wide receivers here. Sky Moore is one that I would consider, but George Pickens out of Georgia is the guy who would be an amazing number one receiver. Give Justin Fields actually someone he could throw it up to. Big fan of what George Pickens can bring to the table. The Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be Bernard Ryman. I'm not going to think about it twice. I think that he's an amazing prospect, especially at this point in the draft. Like, I shit on him because a lot of people think he's a top 15 player. That's it. I think that if you are desperate for one, he has a lot of tools that you like, that you can project. But also, he is just super raw overall. So what you're seeing right now isn't what he's going to be. And I don't exactly think he's going to become like a high-end starter, but he's a hell of a lot better than even a guy who I loved last year, Stone Forsythe. And Stone Forsythe had his problems. I had like a round three, like a late round 3 grade on him. But Bernard Ryman, I have him as a round 2 grade. Like, he's legit not bad. Just especially for the value right now, it's insane. But yeah, Bernard Ryman should definitely be going at this spot. This one, I would still actually consider Tyler Smith. I love Tyler Smith. I know that a lot of people don't, but I mean, I really do love him. I'm looking at positions that we could target here, and this would honestly be a spot that I would probably trade out. I would, but we're not going to do that because honestly, it's not fair. We're going to go Sam Howell out of North Carolina here, investing in the long run. Everybody's saying like, oh, well, why would you invest in a quarterback right now? Like your guys are going to take next year. Again, your team didn't get much worse. Like it's a pretty hot take, but you lose a Hall of Fame level quarterback, but then you gained a bunch of pieces. So it's not like your team got significantly worse. You gained a shit ton of draft capital, and then you got some really good pieces as well. I think that if Sam Howell ends up training for a year and getting more comfortable with the NFL, your team can still compete. And I don't think it's as crap as the teams like the Atlanta Falcons, no disrespect. But I think that the level of talent is good enough to not be a first overall pick. So then you're going to be really trying to pick at the scraps, going after another quarterback when this quarterback class is actually pretty deep at the top. Like it's not very top heavy, but you do have a lot of guys who could be relatively in the same range in terms of their talent level. So I think Sam Howell could be one of those super high ceiling dudes that could end up turning out to be one of the best guys in the draft. Number 42 with the Colts, another team that would have been great for Bernard Ryman, but cornerback to me is such an issue for the team. And Kyler Gordon is an amazing scheme fit. I don't even care which wide receivers are on the board because, again, wide receivers, they can be picked up later. I just think that when you have the potential of like almost a 40-inch vertical player like Kyler Gordon, 4'5", 240, with 31-inch arms, and you just gave away Rock Ya-Sin, that hole is much larger than even the wide receiver one, which is still massive. So yeah, this is a good way to make sure that your defense is not completely useless. Number 43 with the Falcons, we've gone an edge rusher to start out. I still think wide receiver is a big position of need. Sky Moore is an amazing value for that. Like just absolute day one plug-in starter. And assuming that we might be able to get back Calvin Ridley in the future, Ridley, Moore, Pitts, that's a very good way to start out your franchise, being able to have a new offensive resurgence. Number 44 with the Brownies. To me, I think you have to get a day one starter, and that's Arnold Ebiketie all day, every day. I don't care which wide receivers are on the board. Defense is usually what wins championships. You have a great offense as it is. Sure, a wide receiver or two would be nice, but you're not going to win if your defense can't create pressure. You can triple team Myles Garrett all you want. You need someone coming off the edge. Could still be addressed in free agency. But I think Arnold Ebiketie would be an A+ move here. Also, you're stealing him from the Ravens, who would have probably loved to bring Arnold Ebiketie in. Instead, they're having to pick from these dudes right here. And Tyler Smith's still on the board, guys. I would still consider him here, but, again, good players fall. And I would still look at wide receiver for this team, but we have to go edge. We have to. I think Myjai Sanders is an absolute monster, one of the most underrated players in this draft class. Sam Williams is a freaky athlete as well. His testing numbers are off the chart, better than Myjai Sanders did. So if you want to swing for the fences, go Sam Williams, but I think they just did that anyways. I think Myjai is going to be a day one starter, and people are starting to really underrate his potential. 46, this is going to be Jaquan Brisker. I don't even know who else is on the board. I don't care. Jaquan Brisker is worth a top 32 pick, in my opinion. Guy's an absolute baller. Love him to death. Number 47, we have officially taken all the single high safeties off the board for Washington. So now, honestly, I'm forgetting who actually was brought in at tight end, but I don't think tight end is that underrated of a position to address here. It's a weird spot because I don't think defensive line's not a need. Cornerback, I mean, you could take a shot on Tariq Woolen, but that's a pretty ballsy thing. Nick Cross might just be too good to pass on as like a potential upside starter. We've already gone a wide receiver too. Like this is probably your worst case scenario. You don't have a line like a Mike in here. We might have to go Chad Muma, but like again, Quay Walker is here. And actually I'm going to go Quay. He could be an actual Mike linebacker for this squad. And now you pair him up with Cole Holcomb as well as Jamin Davis. You could have a legit monster squad right there. I do this all live, by the way, guys, just to let you guys know. And that none of this is planned. This is going to be Tyler Smith, though. I don't care. I'm going to say Larry Borum could be moving into guard, but I'm still going to have Tyler Smith be a potential guard tackle dude there. And him next to Tevin Jenkins would be ridiculous. So, get a big thumbs up from me. I'd much rather have a gaping hole at right tackle than honestly securing my left side of my offensive line for the next 10, 20 years than try to plug it with somebody who will be there for 2 years. That's just me though. 49 with the Saints. So I still think a quarterback could be in play here. Matt Corral would be a great fit for this team. You could look at safety as well. Nick Cross would be a pretty nasty safety for this team. I'm looking at all the options on the board. Wide receiver still is a position you could target. Left tackle was already fixed, so I'm happy about that. But we're actually going to go Matt Corral here. I think his upside is higher than Desmond Ridder, and this is a team that made a little, I don't know if you could say good, but Taysom Hill looked all right with the Saints. I think Matt Corral could offer a more mobile package of a dude, and it's the late second. Like, it's okay to take a shot on a QB. Now, number 50 for the Chiefs, again, we're not doing trades here. This is Martin Emerson territory, or else Tariq Woolen. But I also want to theorize what we could do here with Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall would be an amazing addition to this team, and he's going to actually start from day one, kind of giving the middle finger to the Bills. You're kind of playing defense against them, and Breece Hall is going to be a day one impact. He's going to play every single down if you need him to. I just love Breece Hall to death, so that's why we're going to be rocking with them. Number 51 with the Eagles. So we're back. You could try to develop an edge rusher here. I'm not going to do that. They haven't even addressed freaking corner yet, dude. Oh my God. Martin Emerson fits really well. Roger McCreary, he's not exactly my ideal fit, but I will just say this. His uncle played for the Eagles. So you do have that connection right there, that lineage. Wide receiver wise, you still got Alec Pierce on the board, who I think would be an absolute steal for this roster. Sean Ryan could be an intriguing dude. I don't think that you need to do that with the best offensive line coach in the NFL. Safety's already been taken with Kyle Hamilton. So at least there's that, right? It's a weird spot because I think Tariq Woolen could be a weird target for you right here, but I'm going to go Martin Emerson. I do think that he is the best as a scheme fit in zone, which is going to be more of the Eagles' forte. And, you know, he is super young as well, a true junior. So definitely getting some high upside there. Also kind of taking him away from the Steelers, who are now sitting here after blowing their first pick. Desmond Ridder is probably going to be the guy I pick here, but I have to highlight Nick Cross as an option. Like, that is certainly a dude who I would potentially take here, but I think that you could go after Terrell Edmonds. I'm going to take a shot on Desmond Ridder to be the franchise quarterback. Worst case scenario, you blew a second round pick because you already blew your first. Love that. Number 53 with the Packers. So there's a multitude of positions I could probably try to target here. Defensive line, that'd be intriguing to have Perion Winfrey next to Kenny Clark. Linebacker, Brian Asamoah, I love him. I mean, honestly, Sean Ryan is the guy who I'm leaning to most here, though. I do love Sean Ryan, and that guard spot should be open with Elton Jenkins moving to tackle. And it hasn't been official yet, but I'm still projecting it to be that way, especially if the board falls this way. You got a true junior right there, young, athletic, high upside tackle who's also going to be a guard. And with Bakhtiari's health concerns, Sean Ryan could definitely be a long-term tackle. Number 54 with the Patriots. If they did not have a billion safeties on roster, I'd be like Nick Cross. But instead, I think going after a wide receiver like Alec Pierce to help out as quarterback would not be too shabby. I know guard could be a good spot as well, but I'm not a huge fan of the dudes on the board. This spot, I'm going Tariq Woolen all the way. I don't even care. I don't. 6'4", 4'2", 640. You're taking a shot on him, and honestly, the level of corner play is not that great anyways, so the floor is pretty damn low in terms of expectations. 56 for the Cowboys. I would consider Nick Cross just for fun here, but edge rusher is a legitimate position of need now. Wide receiver, there's nobody who's good enough on the board. Sam Williams out of Ole Miss has been tied to the Cowboys plenty of times. And I mean, we're talking about Travon Walker as an athletic freak. Sam Williams is like a slightly downgraded version of that in terms of athleticism, because he ran the 4.4s at 260. Like, no one's talking about that. Guy is absolutely ridiculous. Not getting the hype he deserves. Probably could be a first round pick when all is said and done. This pick, and this was a tough one for me actually the other night as well. I hate making this pick because there's no right. Kenny Walker is probably going to be the guy who I take. Honestly, Nick Cross, somebody who I would consider here as well. But you need to make winning moves. And if you're going to improve with Kenneth Walker, you improve with Kenneth Walker. This ranking, again, I told you, is not official. Kenneth Walker will be moving up. Number 58, we're back with the Falcons. Quarterback's no longer on the board for us. So going after, we already went an edge rusher as well. I just want to see, we took Sky Moore. So we still could use a boundary wide receiver. We also took Jermaine Johnson. I'm not a fan of anybody else on the board for the team right at the moment. Safety definitely is underrated position. Nick Cross could be brought in and just used everywhere. So you drafted one in the second round last year, if I'm not mistaken, as well. There's a plethora of positions that we can go here. You can go another edge rusher. I love Brian Asamoah to the squad. I know that there's a lot of people who don't like that, but I have him as my number 23 player. That is accurate. And he's just super athletic, a really damn good linebacker overall. And you lost Foye. Putting him next to Deion Jones, I think, is the best thing you can do for your franchise. Number 59 with the Packers. Another spot where it's honestly a little bit less known what you should do, except for Trey McBride. So going Trey McBride right there. Number 60 with the Buccaneers. I would still consider Nick Cross here. I would. Offensive line looking pretty barren right now. Honestly, it's a weird spot. I'm actually going to go Perrion Winfrey here, though. I think that'd be a great move for the franchise, getting another impact defender just day one and really good high upside in the pass rush. Number 61 with the 49ers. Like, I would definitely consider center here, like 100%. But you also could be addressing corner. Not corner. Wow, I looked at edge and I said corner. You could be addressing edge here as well. You got Kingsley Enagbare, who's just an athletic freak. So it's really up to you where you want to go. I'm going to actually target Nick Cross, though. I do think that safety is a position of concern and definitely one that you can maximize your value from. Seeing where Martin Emerson went. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, so at this pick, corner still is a position of need, but we're going to shore up that right tackle spot. We're going to create some good competition there. We need to have some day one competition, and Abraham Lucas is going to either be a backup that's a super high level backup, or else he's going to start and be even better than Lucas Niang. Number 63, you got the Bengals. So unfortunately, didn't even get the top two dudes that I want, which would be Linderbaum as well as Trey McBride. Not the case. Corner still is a position that I would target. Roger McCreary might not be the best zone defender, but honestly, it's, again, BPA. I think that his fit on this team is as good as you can actually want it for the end of the second. So thumbs up from me. 64 with the Broncos to end this off. Should be targeting a linebacker. Chad Muma just makes all the sense in the world. So that is going to be the draft, guys. So let me know what you think of this series. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys on the far side. Peace.